The wind is literally howling outside my window, so I apologize if you can hear like a howling noise. It is so windy. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel McLaughlin, and if you're new here, I just share lifestyle videos and kind of like the different journeys that I am on in my life or the different chapters that I go through. One of those journeys happens to be infertility, and today I am going to be doing a 2-year infertility update. I released my initial story about a year ago, and that is when so many of you all really connected with me, and many of you all are going through the same exact thing. I know that the people that are watching right now, I know that you are either going through this journey yourself and you're lonely, you're emotional, and it's hard, or I know that you're watching this video hoping that you never have to go on this journey either. And so while it is very, very difficult for me to talk about this, and it's hard for me to be vulnerable and share this, I know that it is so important because I have connected with so many of you all out there. I don't want people to think that I want you to feel sorry for me. I do not want that. I do not feel sorry for myself. I do not want other people to feel sorry. I am simply sharing this journey so that I can connect with so many other women that are in this same exact journey. And it's hard. It is a lonely journey. And the amount of people that go through this is crazy. It's 1 in 8. But you never hear about it because people do not talk about it because it is hard and it is personal. But I hope that if you are going through this, I hope that you know that I am going to share my journey with you, and I'm going to share the emotions and the realness of this journey. And if you don't like that, I am sorry, but you don't have to watch. So when I decided what am I going to do for this 2-year mark, I went on Instagram and asked just to see if anybody had any topics or questions that you all would want me to address, because I am doing this for you all. And I was shocked. I had a ton of questions, a ton of suggestions. So that is what this video is going to be about today. I'm not going to say who sent me those questions or anything like that, just to be private for everybody, because I know that this can be a private process. The first question is, how do you keep your sanity? I feel like I'm losing my mind sometimes. And that is so true. I feel like everybody going through this, watching this, can relate to that, because sometimes it does feel like you're losing your sanity, that the emotional roller coaster is getting the best of you, and that you can't grasp what you're going through, and you can't get a hold of your emotions. I feel like 2 years in, I feel like I'm getting really good at it, and I've taken steps to help me deal with it a lot better. And I think I'm gonna make a separate video about kind of like an epiphany I had. I learned this thing from someone, and I'm gonna share all about that in another video, but I've definitely taken steps to help control my emotions and the mental health piece of this, because it is definitely something that can make you go crazy, because there's so many emotions, there's so much uncertainty that goes with it. I feel like the best thing that I have done is just allow myself to have grace, to recognize the emotions that I'm having, to not be so hard on myself for having some of the emotions that I have, but to also think about the things that I do have, the things that are in my life, the opportunities that I have with what I have, and the place of life that I am in right now. And I feel like bringing yourself to that can sometimes help. I don't think that you're ever gonna find anything that keeps you completely level-headed, but I feel like over time, as hard as that sounds, and I know nobody wants to hear that, I feel like with time, you get used to the emotions and you start to learn how to deal with them a little bit better. Another question, are you guys still trying? Did you seek a fertility doctor? We've been trying to conceive for 10 months. So I guess I probably should have mentioned our journey so far briefly. Okay, yeah, I need to give an update first. So if you watch our like our TTC journey video for the first year that we experienced infertility and we reached that infertility mark. I definitely documented that entire process. When I look back at that video, it is so emotional and so raw and so hard for me to personally watch. But it does answer a lot of the questions about our journey. So I will leave that link down below if you want to know like the specifics and all that kind of stuff. I had my regular OBGYN appointment at 6 months, and she had told me once I reached my 1-year mark that I could come back in and get testing and we could talk more about it. So as soon as we hit that 1-year mark, I went back in for an appointment, and they did blood tests and a few other like just standard tests that they do in the office. And they also got my husband to do a semen analysis. So all of my tests came back normal, and my eggs and all that kind of stuff from the blood work, I don't know how they tell all this, were good. Like all of my blood work came back good. My pap smears and everything like that have always came back good. I have regular cycles, nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to that. Tyler's semen analysis did not come back good. It came back low motility and low sperm count. And so when that happened, obviously we thought, you know, that was why, that was our reason. So then my OBGYN gave us a referral to a fertility specialist. We went in for the initial consultation, and he went over all of the tests that I had already had done. He kind of told us what we needed to be doing, our process. So like he had seen Tyler's semen analysis, but he said you can't trust one semen analysis. And so he had said that Tyler definitely needed another one, and then I needed like FemView, an ultrasound, and a couple of other things like that. Our insurance at the time did not cover it at all, like zero. None of the imaging tests, and because that fertility specialist wanted to do everything in his office and it was out of network. And fertility treatment wise, our insurances do not cover it at all. So after looking at everything, the expense it is very expensive. And you know, we had talked about it a lot, and we're just trying to figure out when it felt right to go and do all that, because you all know we're trying to get out of debt. Like we're trying to make ourselves better financially. I don't want to get started on something that I cannot finish. So if I start all of these tests and I don't have enough money to afford another one, like it's almost like it would be pointless, because I would have to save up that money and redo all those tests again after I had all the money. So there's a lot to it. Luckily now I just got new insurance, and that fertility specialist is in network. It doesn't cover all of the costs, but it definitely brings down those imaging costs a lot. So that is a positive. It's something that we are thinking about and planning for and hoping to get more tests done soon. But I do have one update. My husband has had another semen analysis, and those results came back great. The only thing different that he had done between those 2 times is he had taken some supplement type stuff, and I don't know if that actually helped. We kind of think that maybe the first test was not accurate because of the amount of time and the distance he had to drive in order to drop that off, and I don't know how that works. I don't know. That was definitely something that was super positive and hopeful for us recently that we're excited about. The urologist that he had went to had kind of gave us like some suggestions on how to increase our chances. He really suggested like the basal body temperature and tracking all of that, which I think somebody has a question about that in here, so I'll get to that. So that is definitely encouraging and hopeful. But I'll be honest, it's also pretty confusing, because now it's like, well, is there something wrong with me? Like, I don't know. It's such a mind game. And so I think we're gonna try to do the suggestions that he has said for a couple months and really hardcore tracking. And if nothing happens, I think that's when I'm gonna go back to my OBGYN and tell her, you know, his test came back great now. Is there anything that you can do for me before I have to go back to the fertility doctor? And so I think that she can do some of those tests that the fertility doctor was wanting. I know this is all confusing, but anyways, that's kind of like the update. I will keep you all posted on what we do next and all that kind of stuff. But I want to get back to your all's questions. I do not want this video to be way too long. I know it's already pretty long. So, are we still trying? Absolutely. We have never stopped. I will be honest, tracking your basal body temperature and making sure you're doing all this stuff stressed me out. It completely stresses me out so easily. And so I have went hardcore some months, and then some months I'm like, I emotionally cannot do this month. I am not gonna stress myself out over taking all these tests or taking my temperature or making sure my Ava bracelet is charged. Like, there's a lot of things that just stress me out, and some months I just can't do it. Whenever I have felt stressed out, I have kind of just, like I've said, gave myself grace, taken a break from tracking everything and making it so complicated, and just praying about it and hope and just remaining hopeful. I just think you have to do what is best for you and what helps you mentally, physically, and in your relationship as well. And the next question is, do you chart your temperature? How to read a BBT chart and what it means. So I think, like I mentioned before, like that stuff stresses me out so much, but I have been trying to learn more about it and understanding it more, and that's one of the things that the urologist talked to us about, is just really taking my basal body temperature every day. And he had told us, simply put, whenever your temperature increases by like 1/10 of a point, it's such a small increase. Like, that is when you need, like 10 days after that, you need to basically do it every other day, 10 days after that. He said do that for a couple months. And so I am honestly, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you all, I am not that technical when it comes to it. It's confusing for me. I'll be honest, I done it hardcore 1 month and it didn't help. I got discouraged and it stressed me out, and so I would take a break a couple months, and then I would kind of try to do it again. I would use my Ava bracelet, which tracks temperature as well, and then that would help. So my journey has been so all over the place with that kind of stuff. The real issue for me is staying on track, because if you don't do it every single day, it throws you off, and I found like that's where I have struggled with it the most. Another question is, how do you keep hope while you wait? I think that hope is a very hard thing. I think that you're always hopeful, but there's always these fears that creep inside of your mind that can come in, and you can think, oh my gosh, like I will never have a child, or what if we are never parents, or what if I'm not able to conceive? Like, it is a very scary thing. It is very scary. But I think at the same time, we all know that God can make miracles happen, and we've seen miracles, we've heard stories, and I think that there's always hope there. I really just pray and I ask God, I say, can you please give me hope? Whatever you have me do, whatever you have me say, wherever you want me to go or do, just lead me there. And I kind of just try to put that into His hands. And I think that it's easy to lose hope after you get your period. I think it's super easy. It's like a roller coaster. I've talked about it before. I think it's easy to lose hope, but then it's like it just returns that next month when you have that window of time until your next one. I think that the hope just kind of comes. But I know this is probably not the best answer that everyone wants to hear, but I just pray about it. What are your options and what are you going to do next on your journey? I think, like I mentioned, we're just trying to track my basal body temperature again, and do that really good for 2 months and use like the suggestions that his urologist gave him. And then if nothing happens, I think after a couple months, maybe into the new year, I might try to schedule another appointment with my OBGYN, or I might schedule an appointment with my fertility doctor. I do think that we are gonna try to get some tests done and make some headway on that. We always remain hopeful to be able to conceive ourselves, but we know that that might not be possible. How do you deal with the loneliness of trying to conceive? I think that my loneliness was more so when no one knew about it. In the phase of like, am I going to? Like, am I infertile? Or like, you haven't reached that year mark. And once you hit that year mark, that's when you are considered to have infertility. And I think like when people don't know is when you feel the most lonely, because it's just, you're the only one, you and your husband are the only ones dealing with it. I think for me, it really helped sharing my journey with people like you all. And I think if you know of anybody if you know anyone personally, obviously you can reach out to me, you can message me on Instagram, and I will happily talk with you and message with you. But if you know anybody in person, face to face, that is going through the same thing, I really think it helps to be able to talk to them and to be able to just be there for each other. And I really think that that helps. But I feel like the loneliness will always be there, and I hate to say that, but I do think there will always be a sense of loneliness, because everyone does not understand what you're going through. If someone has never been through this, they just will never know what it feels like. They'll never know the true emotional side of it. How do you deal with the feeling of being forgotten in this TTC journey? I've never really thought of it as like being forgotten. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. I don't know if it's like the feeling of like, why am I the one that doesn't get to have a child and everybody else does, if that's kind of what you're talking about. And I think that those emotions and those feelings and thoughts are real. I try to just not compare myself to everybody. It is very hard, trust me, I know. Like when all your friends are on their second babies or their third, or everyone around you seems to be pregnant and you're the only one that's not. It is hard. It is definitely hard, but it's just something that I feel like over time you just start to build up that strength and control over your emotions as best as you can control them. But I really just have to pray about it, and I have to go back to that mentality of being grateful for the things that I have, for the opportunities that I have in this stage of life that I am in. It's just, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Of course, I don't have all the answers. But I always like to try to look at it as a lesson. That is one mental change that I have been making in this journey, is just taking this journey that I have and thinking about what is the lesson that God is teaching me. What is the universe telling me in this moment? And am I listening? Am I listening to the signs that God is giving me? And I'll be honest with you all, I have had some signs that I feel strongly about. You know, sometimes I don't believe all that stuff, but I hardcore believe that God has given me signs of hope. This might sound really weird and crazy to people, but when you pray to God, when you pray, I truly believe that He is listening and that He is giving us signs. We just have to be listening for them. I guess if I could compare that to anything about being forgotten, those are the things that I kind of think about, and those are the things that I think that God is telling me, you know, you are not forgotten. I am giving this battle, I am giving this journey to you for a reason, and just remain hopeful. Will you be trying or able to make progress this year in your fertility testing and treatment? I talked about this already a little bit. I think so. Me, mentally, I need to have my test done, because I need to know if there's something in my body that is not working properly, or if I just need it for peace of mind. How do you and your partner stay on the same page in terms of what the plans is for your TTC journey? I think it's just being open and honest in that conversation, and it's not always easy to try to plan when you're gonna have a baby, because you can't control this. When I feel like I need to go get testing, or I want to go do that right now, I think he's all for it. I think we're both on the same page, and just letting each other, because there is two people in this process, right? And so I think it's letting each other go at our own paces, and we're just supportive. I think that it boils down to we're just supportive of each other in this journey. We're on it together. We're the only two people in this world that know what each other are going through and what each other are experiencing. We are the only two, no matter how much I tell you all, we are the only two that know exactly what we're going through, and so we have to support each other in order to get through this. How much have you spent in the hospital so far, and what did they do at the hospital? So I haven't been in the hospital or anything like that. I've only had blood tests like I've mentioned. Somebody asked, how do you think Ava is working for you? I tracked with Ava for quite a few months, and when we were living in the camper, it got really hard. This sounds so dumb. It got hard for me to make sure that my bracelet was charged. So you can only have so many things plugged in at one time, and I would forget to plug up my bracelet before I left, or I'd forget to take it with me and plug it up at work or something like that. And so I accidentally got off on my tracking like for a couple days, or I would go on a trip and I forgot it. So for me, when I forgot it and I mistracked for that month, it kind of threw everything off. But now that we are in our house and the whole charging thing doesn't really matter, I'm gonna start doing that again. That's another, what I'm honestly gonna be doing the next couple months is definitely tracking with my Ava bracelet, because I think it has really good insights with tracking ovulation and stuff like that. I'm gonna be doing that, and I'm also gonna be doing a basal body temperature, and I'm gonna compare the two together and see if they're on track. And so yes, I'm gonna be tracking more with Ava, and I do think that it was tracking really well when I was using it. So I think I definitely want to get back on that and making sure that I do it every single night, because I feel like if you get off, then that kind of ruins the whole month of the cycle of it, of tracking it. So another question I got was a suggestion saying, I would discuss staying strong in your marriage with your partner. It got really hard on us. I think it does. I think it can get hard when you're not in a good place mentally, and it's lasting for so long. 2 years in the journey feels like forever, but so many other people I know have been through it for 5 years plus. And I think for us at the 2-year mark, I think we're still doing pretty good. It is definitely hard because a lot of times we'll question, like, what if we never get to have a child? Like, but I think we just really have to rely on our faith and remaining hopeful and praying and listening for those signs. This might sound crazy, but I feel like you have to find your happiness in another way. And it's something that I'm working on. I'm working on being happy without feeling burdened by this journey. And so those are some of the signs that I feel like God has been showing me and telling me, you know, you're on this journey for a reason. You're on it. There's a lesson to be learned here. And like I said, I just try to focus. I think we both just try to focus on the things that we do have and on our faith. And I really just don't know what else to say about it. It does get hard. I know some couples go to counseling, especially those that have been through it for a really long time, and who have had unsuccessful infertility treatments. See, I feel like for us, because we haven't went into the infertility journey, we haven't started the treatments, I feel like for us, that's why we're doing good, is because I feel like if you're going into the infertility treatments and you've been doing them and doing them and doing them and it's not working, that is when I feel like it could be very mentally draining and hard on a marriage, because just almost maybe having that feeling of like, oh my gosh, am I gonna have to come to terms with I might never conceive a child? And so I feel like for Tyler and me, we're still so early on in the process that we're so hopeful, and we just still have a lot of faith in it. Okay, I think that this is the last question that I have. Do you use ovulation tests? What has the doctor told you your next step is? Clomid, IVF. So I kind of already answered a lot of those questions. I do still have some ovulation tests, and I did that a bunch of months as well. I feel like based on those tests and my Ava bracelet, I kind of have an idea of like when I'm ovulating pretty well. It's something that I do still I need to still track again and do it consistently for a couple more months just to see if anything's changed. I think it's good to do it quite often, but I don't think it's something that you have to do every single day religiously, every single month. just because it's so emotionally draining. And I don't know if people understand that or if I'm the only one that thinks that, but mentally it can be very draining. And I think that's why a lot of people say when we quit trying is when we got pregnant. And I think when they say trying, I think that they're probably tracking all this stuff and it's stressful and challenging. And so I think that maybe when they quit doing that and don't stress themselves out, that's when they get pregnant. So that's kind of been my mentality of just like balance with all of that. So I think that I have answered all the questions. I'm so sorry that this video is super long, but I really hope that it was beneficial and helpful to you. I do not have all the answers. We are still going through it, and it is a journey and a struggle every day. I don't know, I think there's so many parts to it. It's definitely difficult, but if I can help any of you all that are going through this journey in any way, it helps me to know that I'm helping you, and to almost have this feeling of like, well, if I'm on this journey, there's a reason, and if I can help other people, it's almost like it gives me a purpose for why I'm on this journey. So be sure to follow me on Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I do have a whole playlist on our TTC journey, different thoughts that I've had throughout the process. And you know, sometimes those change. So some of my thoughts that I've had in my older videos might have changed, but this is definitely the most up-to-date on our journey so far. And I will be making more infertility related videos very, very soon. I know that so many people have asked me, are you gonna give an update? Are you gonna talk about it? And yes, I want to. I just kind of took a little break from it to help myself emotionally and mentally. So I am back with it. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave in the comments any of your thoughts on this, any topics you want me to talk about, and go and follow me on Instagram so I can connect more with you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.